Okay, so we talked previously about destiny. And so what we want to talk about is how do you reach that destiny? And why is it is important to have that destiny? Because what happens is that, let's just say this is your mountain right here, okay? Let's just say that's your mountain, and you have basically left a lot of individuals. Imagine this being people, okay? You've left the crowd. You've left the crowd, okay? And now you start on this journey up this mountain, okay? And that's you walking alone there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's you walking alone. I didn't get a good grade in art. But you're walking alone. And then as you get up to this point right here, it's easier to go down than it is to go up, okay? And so as you get to this point right here, sometimes this is where people relapse and we fall back into the old past because they get tired. And not only that, but it gets lonely up here. It gets lonely up here. So my advice to you, basically, this is the time to take time to sit your behind down and think about where you were, where you are, and where you desire to be, your new destiny. So when we look at this right here, as we begin to contemplate and we begin to think and we begin to look at our life, our life is filled with a lot of achievements. But what happens when we get to the point where we achieve, this is us on top of that mountain. When we achieve that mountain, the only place to go is down. And so oftentimes we have to understand that it's not so much as conquering the mountain, but finding new heights to climb. And as we begin to climb over a series of life, we'll have so many accomplishments within our life. And when we look back over our life and we look at the past, we see that we're not where we were. How many times have you woke up and you realized that you are in the same place that you were 5 years ago? This is what you call biopsychosocial stuck. So what we have to do is basically become unstuck. Because as we begin to leave those things that used to comfort us, they will not comfort us anymore. We have to strive to find out what our new destiny is in life. And so as we look at our destiny, we find out what are you really passionate about in life? You know, maybe it's horses, or maybe it's cars, or maybe whatever it is, you know, or maybe you just don't know. You just say, I can't get a job. Well, I'm here to tell you, my father used to tell me all the time. He said, you have to go out and make a job if you can't find a job. Now, I'm going to tell you, there's no reason why anyone should be unemployed in America. Because if there's a bucket, water, and a squeegee, you got a job. You got a job. There's no reason anyone should be unemployed. But what happens is that because we regressed it mentally in our life, our bio, psycho, and social, we don't progress in life. And we get stuck. And our whole life becomes surrounded about getting paid, getting high, getting by, and getting laid. And if that's not low self-esteem, I don't know what is. You're more than that. You're more than that. So I want you to focus. I'll utilize myself. First of all, I wanted to find out what was my divine destiny. In my divine destiny was basically what was God's purpose for my life. What was God's purpose for? Why did I exist? Why did I go through the things that I went through? When I was going through what I went through, I couldn't see a purpose in it. But you have to rise above your circumstances. And anytime you can get an objective perspective on your circumstances, you would always get a better point of view. I call it a bird's eye point of view, or God's point of view of your life. Because when we're subjective to it, only thing we can do is fight. But when we're objective, we can plan and strategically plan. And so when we look at our divine destiny, it requires us to do several things. And that is make a divine desire. Have a divine desire. In my heart, I had no desire in my heart to please God. I had none whatsoever. I wanted God's blessing. I wanted God's protection. But when it came down to pleasing someone, it was only pleasing myself. And this is what the Spirit told me. It says, hey, the problem I have with you is that you have no desire in your heart to please me. So I said, okay, God, give me that desire in your heart, in my heart. Put that desire in my heart. And before I knew it, I became desensitized. And all of a sudden, guess what? I wanted to do God's work, and he placed in my heart a divine desire. And with that divine desire, I could see the pain of the people. I could see hurt. I could walk in somebody else's shoes. And then with that desire, I had to make a decision. And in that decision, that's why I said, this is what I'm going to do. See, the divine desire is nothing more, like we discussed earlier, is nothing more than a wish without a proper decision. And in that decision, you also have to find a direction. Okay, so now I wanted to please God, so I had to get off my butt and go out and find what God wanted me to do. So we've talked about the dynamics of addiction. We've talked about the process in, we talked about the process out. Next, I want to show you some statistics, okay, basically, that's going to open up your eyes to the reality of addiction in America. So what we're looking at here, let's just say this represents the whole of all the individuals that are addicted in America. Okay, here we have an average of, on any given day, 23.5 million individuals that's dealing with some form of substance or alcohol addiction. That's a given number right there because there's some that die out of the program of addiction. There's some that get sober. There's some people that's entering into. So when we look at this 23.5 million individuals that's addicted in America in some form or fashion, we're looking at an epidemic because out of that, you only have about 2% that actually recognize the fact that they need help. If you're watching this video, at some point you contemplate the fact that you might need some help. So in that, you have an average of about 2 million individuals that get some help, that recognize the fact that they need help. So when you break that down, only half of them actually get the help that they need. And when you break that down even further, only half of them maintain their sobriety for a year or more. So this is, I don't want to oversimplify you getting sober, but I do want to let you know that there's a reality that works against you. And you got to have some strong determination in your destiny in order to get out of this mess. It's hard, but it's doable. Me personally, I got over 23 years of sobriety. I had to find my new destiny. And once I did that, I ran like it was my business to do so. And can't nobody make you sober, can't nobody get you sober. You have to make it up in your mind that that's what you want. So out of this 23.5 million individuals, ask yourself, where do you stand? Where do you stand? Because this is reality. Having 23 years of sobriety, I want to tell you that my passion, my heart is dedicated to helping others come out of the addiction. You know, it wasn't easy for myself, and I know it's not going to be easy for you. I hate to oversimplify the fact that, you know, going from addiction to sobriety is not that easy. You have to do what's required. You know, in my heart, my biggest problem was that I had no desire in my heart. You know, you have to look at this thing from three-dimensional, mind, body, and spirit, you know, not necessarily in that order, but you have to look at it from that. There's some things that I went through as a child that caused great pain within my life. And those great pains basically was the mere fact that I was molested at the age of 10. And being molested at the age of 10, it took me into some dynamics that I wasn't prepared to handle. I didn't know. And all I could think about was the pain, the emotional and the spiritual pain that I went through. If there was a God, why would he allow this to happen to me? Now, I questioned God. I questioned God on many levels. But I did realize that there is a God and I'm not God, okay? So after dealing with that, basically all I wanted to do was basically medicate this pain away. So at the age of 13, I discovered marijuana. And when I discovered marijuana, guess what happened? The pain appeared to have disappeared. And the only way I could maintain the freedom of that pain was to stay sedated and medicated with the marijuana. And as I moved on in life, I began to progress in my drug use. And it became my way of life. Everything I did was geared around getting high, getting by, getting laid, getting paid. And when I began to move into adulthood, I carried those same things with me. And as I began to carry those same things with me, I began to live a double lifestyle. And living a double lifestyle is no fun because sometimes you forget where you are. And eventually one will run into the other, okay? So I basically have been living a lie. And in the 23 years, I began to recognize the fact that in the addiction, that's not who I was designed to be. That's not who God made me to be, or that was not my purpose in life. I was living an abusive life. But I wanted to change. And all my changing, I went to treatment centers, went to detox, went to all of those things. But in my ignorance and my stupidity, I got on a 30-day detox and said I wanted to see if I was still hooked. So I went and bought some dope. And so that's how we think, right? You know, I went there to get fixed. I want to see if they fix me, okay? So if my thought was that I would never ever have a desire to use drugs again. That's a lie. Because when you're using drugs, there's a certain feeling that comes upon you. Someone asked one question and said, well, now that you're not using drugs, what are you going to replace it with? I said, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll jump out of airplanes or something, you know, to get the same rush. I don't know. But whatever that is, and that's why it's vitally important that we find our new divine destiny in this movement towards sobriety. Because if we don't find it, we're going to end up repeating the past. And you know where that led you, right? Okay, so when we look at the 23.5 million individuals, you have to ask yourself, where do I stand? Where do I stand in this? I recognize the fact that I need help. I'm going to get the help that I need. Am I going to maintain it throughout my life? You have to change a lot of things in your life. You have to change the way you think. You have to change what you do. And sometimes the two never come together. Because in all of this, you have what's called your thoughts, right? And then you have what's called your feelings. And then you have your behavior. Okay? So your thoughts determine how you feel. How you feel determines how you act. So where does it start? If we could change our thoughts, okay? If we have a thought change, guess what? We would have a feeling change. If we have a feeling change, guess what? We would have a behavior change in our life. And once we change those things in our life, guess what? Our life becomes better. Not perfect, but better. And as we begin to build upon these things, we will find the value. Because most of us are basically looking for love, value, a need, and safety. So in looking for love, value, need, and safety, love. We're looking for love. A lot of girls looking for love in all the wrong places. Anything that would validate you in regards to love. Looking for value. Oh, you know, how many people have lost their value? How many times have you walked past somebody and just looked at them as if they meant nothing? How many times have you devalued individuals in your mind? How many times have you been devalued? Need. We all have to have a sense of significance in life, a purpose in life. Safety. That's our whole, we all want to be safe. So when you are in your addiction, all of these factors right here are missing. You're not loving yourself, you're losing your value, you're losing your purpose, and you're definitely not safe. And guess what? As you lose this, your family also loses this as well. So I want to talk to your mothers, your fathers, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your uncles, your friends. It's time to get back to the basics and establishing a strong, powerful love, giving value back to our family, showing everyone has a purpose and a need, and securing them with the safety. I want to thank you for giving me your time. And I know that this is a lot to take in right now, but I want you to know that this is reality. This is our reality that we have to deal with as Americans. You know, I believe that if we do what is required, we can get back to basics. if we do what we need to do, we can get our families back. Fathers, you can take your place back into the home. Mothers, you can be the mothers you're called to be. Children, you can do what you're called to do. Go back to school and get good grades and do what you called to do. Don't limit yourself, because of this addiction right now is stunning your growth. Now we have a lot more to say, and if you're interested, please subscribe to the link below. And I want you to know that we will be following up with another sequel, so you don't want to miss this. So I advise right now that you subscribe to that link below. And I'll see you next time. I hope in some way, form, or fashion you have been inspired, encouraged, and God bless you.